In new lore, Osiris writes to Ikora about the dangers the Guardians still face. We've been through the Light and Dark saga, but much still remains, and it's beginning to bubble to the surface. Welcome Guardians, let's take a look at these new stories. Over the last week, we've been diving through the Penumbra Grimoire Anthology lore entries. Today we have another one called On Concerns Previously Expressed. So let's read it first and then discuss afterwards. Ikora, you know as well as I that the Vex yet require attention. I have said before many times that their threat is greater than any other. And while the recent depredations of the Witness have proven this set of priorities temporarily misordered, I fear that the threat of the Vex may not only spread in the aftermath, but also go underestimated. It is tempting to let our guard down and breathe easy. We cannot. Before my exile, I made plain my opinions on light and darkness, on the foolishness of considering them good and evil. This remains true, doubly so now. Our enemy was never the darkness itself, but that which worked within it. And that childish division of good against evil has distracted from the unceasing enemy, the Vex. They care not which force they grasp. They care not about mortality. They care, if one can call it that, only for convergence. They advance, and they will not stop unless we stop them. Every time they have closed their gap to paracausality, even in the smallest way, it has been nigh disastrous. I am sure I not need remind you of Quria, of the eternal night that threatened to fall over the last city, of the Black Heart, that the Vex attempt to recreate the Veil, which could itself have been catastrophic, of the Black Garden and the remnant of the Witness that Guardians found there, redolent of darkness. We may not yet have seen what happens when the Vex grasp for the light, but I assure you, if it has not begun, it soon shall. Time is inevitably limited, until the Vex and their infinite adaptability learn how light and darkness both may be turned to their advantage. It is my recommendation as advisor to the Vanguard that the Vex be logged as the most urgent enemy of sentient life, both of the last city and the growing alliances formed these past years. Please, Ikora, I would not raise this yet again if I did not believe it to be of utmost importance. Consider it well, Osiris. As Osiris mentions, the Vex to him and most are the biggest threat we currently face. They've used anything they can to their advantage in the past, the sole divisive latching onto the Witness and the Black Heart, trying to create a replica of the Veil, Quria and her simulations, and most recently, Vex acting completely different. Ways they never have before, like individuals thanks to the power of Maya Sundaresh's Echo. In the final Shape lore entry from Shadowkeep, we learn what the Gardener and Winnower thought of the Vex, the pattern that would always emerge and win. The Winnower thought this pattern was majestic, while the Gardener hated it. It always ends the same, the Gardener complained. This one stupid pattern. Aren't they beautiful? I asked as the flowers open and close in patterns beyond the scope of entire universes, to encode all-devouring and perhaps everlasting. Not even we can know whether a pattern in the flowers would cycle forever or someday halt. They're as dull as carbon monoxide poisoning, the Gardener groused. Although carbon monoxide did not yet exist, and neither did anything that could be poisoned. The Gardener kneeled to flick a patch of sod with their trowel. It struck an open flower, causing it to shut. Although I was the closer of flowers and that was my sole purpose, I felt no fear or jealousy. We had our assigned dominions and always would. They're majestic, I said. They have no purpose except to subsume all other purposes. There is nothing at the center of them except the will to go on existing, to alter the game to suit their existence. They spare not one sliver of their totality for any other work. They are the end. The pattern corrected the errant flower effortlessly. The great flow went on unchanged. The gardener got up and brushed their knees. Every game we play, this one pattern consumes all the others. Wipes out every interesting development. A stupid, boring exploit that cuts off entire possibility spaces from ever arising. There's so much that we'll never get to see because of this pest. They chewed at their cracked lip, which existed only because this is an allegory. I'm going to do something about it, they said. We need a new rule. The entire focus of the Vex is survival and convergence. Assimilate anything that exists into Vex itself. They have tried to do this in different ways. Some worship the darkness and the witness like the soul divisive. Some made the Vault of Glass, Infinite Forest, or tried to simulate Oryx and the sword logic. Because the light is paracausal or magic essentially, which operates beyond certain universal rules, the Vex are unable to simulate it currently. They can't predict or recreate it, yet. Recently though, we have begun to see some changes thanks to Maya's Echo, which has light imbued within it, where Vex begin acting as individuals and even in some human ways. In the pools of luminance, I was up on the ridge collecting data lattice for Rahul, and I spotted a single Vex hobgoblin below, just watching me. At first, I thought it was damaged because it had a bunch of bright interference around its neck, and it was moving funny, like its suspension was loose. Right as I was about to draw, the hobgoblin waved its hand at me. I figured it was signaling an ambush, and I looked around, but it didn't have any backup. It waved again, and I gave a little wave back. I didn't see the harm. Well, I got real excited at that and waved with both arms. But then a Titan came speeding past on their Sparrow, hopped off and blasted it to hell with their Paimara B. Probably thought they were doing me a favor. And lastly, an artifact's edge. I was passing through that dark wooded area just northeast of the LZ, and I saw something shining in one of those big trees. I got closer and saw a Vex goblin with something glowing around its neck. It was creeping through the branches and making a little noise, almost like it was laughing, if that makes any sense. I threw a storm grenade up there and I'm pretty sure I got it, but I couldn't see for sure. I thought I should report it anyway. Just last year in Season of the Wish, Vex learned how to simulate a Techian thanks to help from the Witness. Now this is nowhere near the power of a Guardian, but it makes things a little more questionable.
I remember the Soul Divisive doing all sorts of weird things in the Black Garden. In the deepest parts, they were experimenting with paracausal forces, adjusting their code to more closely reflect the way they perceive the darkness.
But to no avail to my recollection. Perhaps this is the end of those experiments. Perhaps it is something new. Resonance. If they are tapping into the darkness's memory, it may enhance their predictive capabilities.
Looks like the Witness might have taught the Soul Divisive some new tricks.
Or the Soul Divisive sought to align their collective more closely with that which they worship.
Either way, I guess now we know how they got ahead of us.
But if the Vex are that pattern that dominate everything, every outcome in the universe, then Osiris is right. And it's only a matter of time before they begin changing or evolving to simulate the light. Bungie told us just yesterday in a blog post that Heresy will speak about an ancient force or forces that control the universe. So do the Vex play into this and Frontiers? We've seen some architecture and hints in Apollo concept art. But anyway, Guardians, that's all we got for today's video. Some new lore and thoughts about the Vex and the possible impact they may have in the future. Will a light-infused version of them be an enemy in, say, Frontiers or beyond? If you'd like to see some more Destiny news, lore, and mysteries just like this video, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. I thank you very much for watching, and I'll catch you all in the next video.